Hi, how we doing today, everybody? I was just digging through some of my old court documents and whatnot, stuff that I've kind of showed you in some of my videos, and I just thought that I'd make a short video documenting more of the stuff that we've been through, showing more of the evidence and the paperwork. I know a lot of you probably aren't that interested in this stuff, but for me, it's more of a documenting my discrimination, my life story, my targeting, gang stalking, harassment, and things like that. So what I'm going to go over this morning is the legal eviction that my son and I went through in Manhattan, Montana at Galatana Apartments. Now, I think I've shown you guys in my previous videos how my landlord refused to accept a rent payment. I believe I talked about how this was HUD 30% housing, and I had lost employment for about 2 weeks, and my landlord refused to lower my rent per federal guidelines. She just evicted me. And all this also while I proved to her that I was waiting for unemployment. So, what I'm going to do first is, I think I've also gone over how my son and I were drugged in those apartments, how our food was adulterated, and I forget what the Montana annotated code is, but I have that written down somewhere here, and I did include all that in my court paperwork. But first, I want to show you, you see this picture right here. This is a picture of the parking spot that I used to always park in because it was right in front of my apartment. Now, the next door lady, Miss Archer, she actually broke into our apartment one day. She tried to blame it on her dog, which is impossible. This was before I had a deadbolt. It was just a doorknob lock on the front door, and a dog, there is no way that a dog could break into that. You actually have to have a credit card or a butter knife, and you have to jimmy it. Okay, so she denied that and said her dog did it. And this is how she would treat me. She would put her bicycles and her friends would park their cars in front of my parking spot so I couldn't park there. Here's another picture. This is me. And this is her. She had an older model Explorer, similar to mine in color and looks. But see how she would park with like 4 foot away here? She would take up 2 parking spots. And she would do this on purpose. Because I had talked to her and told her the reason why I needed to park there. That it was because in my last place, my rear differential had been vandalized, and gas had been stolen, and also my rear windshield wiper had been stolen and vandalized as well. Now, they also left notes on my car telling me I wasn't allowed to park there and all kinds of things. I have a picture, let's see, right here. Let me find it. There it is. She even vandalized federal it's not federal, I guess it was owned by a private business, but she vandalized property and put her apartment number on that parking spot. Okay, and this is how I basically pleaded with this lady because I needed to keep a watch over my vehicle. She had a parking spot in front of her apartment, but she refused to use it. She wanted to use the one in front of mine. And she, defaced property to try to harass me. And she did multiple things, okay? And yes, I was targeted with electronics by her for a short period of time, and by another neighbor that used to live above me in these apartments. Okay. So, I'm going to read something here. I filed here, this is a motion for judgment on grounds of perjury because my landlord committed perjury. She committed 5 counts of perjury and submitted a document that had a date had been forged on it in her handwriting. Okay, but I'm going to read this to you. This is the actual affidavit that that I prepared for the judge. Okay, this is that I'm the plaintiff because I did after the eviction or during the eviction process I did a civil lawsuit on my own. First, a little background on myself. I've been religiously discriminated against in every aspect of my life for 7 years now. My employment and housing has been taken away over and over. 7 years before that, I had many discrimination and harassment problems because of my tattoos and extreme conservative values and beliefs. For a total of 14 years of craziness. I moved to Gallatin Apartments about 2 years ago after first being denied, then accepted after writing a letter stating I needed a safe place to live for my son and I because of discrimination problems. As soon as I moved in the apartment, the problems started again immediately. I had a couple of break-ins. The neighbors were stalking and provoking. I actually caught the neighbors following me and my son when I would take him to school and I would go to work, etc. My parking spot was blocked with bicycles and notes were put on my truck for parking in certain spots. After I explained how in my last housing my truck's rear differential was vandalized and gas was stolen, a couple of food items were adulterated in my home as well. And the employer I was presently working at then, which was Papa John's Pizza, and I've explained some of that. I called Crystal's boss and told them, and they supposedly emailed Crystal a couple of times. Crystal did nothing but call me once, screaming at me for calling her boss, and did nothing about these situations. I lost my employment one day when my prescription pills and some of my tip money was stolen. I did get upset with Papa John's, and I called them cowards and thieves. And like I've got here in parentheses, for the record, the police wouldn't let me press charges on this employer. And this employer actually have text messages, proving the timeline to the general manager talking about drugs being in the food. And I'd also have drug tests because it had happened a few times and I'd ordered some drug tests online. But, regardless of all this, the Gallatin Valley's finest still would not allow me to press charges, which is another total civil rights and human rights violation and a complete, disregard for the law. Okay. So, I told Crystal Browning of my situation. She didn't seem to care. Later, she refused to accept partial payments for rent, and when I found new employment, she refused to let me stay and pay my rent. At this time, my son was even taken away from his mother for reasons I won't mention on this video, and Crystal still refused to let me stay and pay my rent. Living in normal housing is impossible for me right now. I pay child support on my daughter, raise my son, and deal with all of this discrimination, religious and harassment from my son's family and friends, along with a plethora of health problems. And the end is where we are. Crystal sees my belongings illegally and will not return them without $600. My son's clothing and all his toys and my clothing, tools, and personal possessions that took me more than 10 years to attain. Now, not only did they illegally evict us, they let her commit 5 counts of perjury under oath, but they stole all of our possessions illegally. And what I'm about to read here, maybe it's in the judgment or the motion. Okay, give the plaintiff's relief, his possessions, and apartment back while punishing the defendant how your honor sees fit. Plaintiff would ask the punishment to be severe because of circumstances. Because the defendant knowingly lied 4 times under oath, not including submitting the wrong type of employment verification paperwork to the courts as well. Breaking MCA 45-7-201, number 2 and number 3. The apartment was not cleaned. See Exhibit A. Crystal Browning and I did not do a walkthrough or did / had I moved in on 8/3/13. I moved in on 9/3/13. See Exhibit B, letter to Syringa on 8/20/13, and part of lease agreement showing real move-in date. That was where she had put a false date, and that was one of the counts of perjury in court. And this was all on a document that is supposed to be evidence. The actual paperwork submitted to Syringa for employment verification, which is nothing like what was submitted to the court. See Exhibit D. And that was employment, I believe that was employment verification and rental verification, showing how it's supposed to be based on income. And on the back of this paperwork, my landlord had repeatedly told me that if I lose my job, I lose my apartment. And on the back of that paperwork, of course, it talked about how this was 30% housing and how my rent was supposed to go down to like $25 a month or something like that if I lose my employment. Yeah, and she refused to do that, which is another complete and total, disregard of federal guidelines and federal housing. And the letters from myself and witness denying allegations of smoking, which never occurred. See Exhibit C. And then I have the civil number CV-14-1531-LT. They also, at one point, they were blowing smoke into our apartments. Now, the windows, these were older apartments, so you could actually stand outside by the windows and just blow smoke in the sides of the windows, and the insulation didn't prevent the smoke from coming in, so it smelled like smoke. She actually wrote me up for smoking in my apartment, and this was during the time that I had quit smoking cigarettes for 8 months. I was smoking an electronic cigarette, and the first 3 months I might have smoked like a total of 5 cigarettes outside. I'd smoke a half of one at a time. And I walked in, and the neighbor that lived across the hall from me, the one with the parking issues, turned me in for smoking a cigarette because I walked in with a half of a cigarette that was actually put out and had been. And then, this is just the bullshit that we go through. Like I said, I think I've already shown you some of the evidence, and I've got evidence strewn about everywhere here. I don't feel like really, getting into it. But I am going to include one more thing in this video here. This right here, let's see. I actually, because of the judges breaking federal guidelines, I decided to send in a complaint of judicial misconduct or disability. And basically what this is a document that you send to a federal court telling how district judges or county judges are breaking the law, okay? So I turned this in, and then I turned it in with this. This is a letter stating all the things I've been going through, being drugged, illegal evictions, taken off of my prescriptions, my son being drugged, other things. And these are all, this pile right here is like almost 2 inches thick. Like this, all this is like almost 2 inches thick right here. And this is what's in it. It's what it amounts to. Let's see. Complaint of Gallatin County District and City Court judges in a civil matter. I'm going over, all of this stuff that I've been through. I've already talked about the legal eviction right here. And then next is case number DV/14/975B, the Montana Human Rights Network versus myself, and case number DV/14/537AX, Guardian Restoration versus myself. Guardian Restoration was a business I worked for. Just a brief overview of that is they fired me Well, they laid me off, and they decided I was a full-time employee, and they decided that they were going to pay more and hire a temporary employee who was on probation and who was repeatedly screwing jobs up and doing drugs and getting arrested and going to jail and doing a bunch of things that he shouldn't be doing. Well, I had actually got that job through a temp agency, and my first 6 months of employment, they loved me. They reported to the temp agency how I was one of the best employees they ever had. And then all of a sudden, as soon as I'm a full-time employee of theirs, they discriminate against me. So I wound up taking them, and there's a lot more involved in that, but I'm just going to leave that at that. And the Montana Human Rights Network, for any of you who know me, yeah, I was involved in Creativity, which is like a right-wing extremist group, for about 7 years. I quit doing that when my son was 8 months old. I'm not involved in any extremist activity or anything like that. And it's funny how they even call it extremist activity, because all it is you're just a family guy. That's all it amounts to. You got the leftist extremists in here spouting that we're spouting hate and all this stuff. Well, the truth of the matter is, and taking it from somebody who's been through it and changed his beliefs, leftist extremist groups are probably some of the most evil, vile people in the world. Right next to right-wing extremist groups, but right-wing extremist groups really aren't half as bad as the world thinks they are. Most of those people, they might put racial slurs on the internet or defamate the character of a race and not necessarily a single person. But truth of the matter is, they're just a bunch of family people. They just stay at home and they love their kids. And I'm still not going to stick up for them. I'm not trying to stick up for them by that. But just from personal experience, leftist groups are the ones that try to murder people and do horrific things. But also, like I said, I'll say it again, I'm not sticking up for the right-wing people, with the exception of, regular Republican libertarian people. It's a lot, some of them were involved too, and it seems like, from my personal experience, they like to, instead of taking their anger out on, say a black person or whatever, you get all the media lies and the bullshit. They actually take their hate on their own people. That's the truth of the matter. A lot of truthers out there know all about the media, though. The media is just a bunch of lying horse shit. Okay, and let's see. I believe that's all I've got right now. There was actually a lot more to this. Let's see, where's the the judges that I filed a judicial misconduct on were Mike Salvani. Mike Salvani is actually, I think he just retired. He's a homosexual judge who's actually, from what I understand, is a child molester. I don't think he's ever been married or anything like that, and he hangs out at gay bars and he does a lot of crazy stuff. The next judge is Rick West and Brian Adams. Rick West and Brian Adams were the judges that were involved in my illegal eviction. And what's funny is they didn't use just one judge for the eviction process. I actually had a hearing with Rick West and with Brian Adams over all this with my landlord and Syringa's attorney. So anyway, that's just more of the story for any of you who actually want to watch. I'm sure all my videos are very boring, but there are some truthers out there and, TIs and whatnot that want to get their story out. And I'm sure that there's a few people that would be interested in watching this. There's a lot more to come. There's a lot more videos to come. I've got this box right here isn't even the beginning of it. That box is quadruple backed up. I've got pictures of it. I've got all SD cards and flash drives on my laptops, and I keep everything quadruple backed up just because You know, someday all this stuff is going to come to a federal judge or something, and there's actually going to be somebody out there that's going to do something about this. So, I hope you guys have a great day. Keep watching if you're interested, and I'm going to keep putting stuff out there. Probably my next video is going to be a new Faraday panel that I thought up of. It's going to be decorative. It's going to be very inexpensive, and it might not be 100% foolproof, but it will definitely help anybody going through electronic harassment. So I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.